Hello, good morning. It is Wednesday again, 12 o'clock, and we are going to start our webinar. And today's webinar is dedicated to women. And our guests today are women. Today we have Beata from Poland. Hi, Beata.
Bom dia.
We have Oana from Romania. Hello. And we have Carotini, our beautiful Carotini from Greece.
Hello, Kalimera.
Kalimera, Kalimera. And today we are going to talk, women will talk about women. What do we know about those women influential at their time or epoch who have formed, shaped, and changed the course of our present and future? That is the topic of our today's webinars. Then, stories of women who had an important role in their country's history. And we are going to continue the topic of women, women leaders, scientists, artists, politicians, writers. We are going to continue with fascinating stories of women, and Oana from Romania will tell us about outstanding women of your country, of your culture. Oana, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm from Romania, as you said, from the eastern part of Europe, and I will present you two remarkable women that changed the world and also laid the ground for acceptance of women as equal to men. The first presentation, it's about Sarmiza Bilcescu. It's not a common Romanian name, Sarmiza. I will speak about the name also. She was the first European woman ever to obtain a license in law and the first woman in the world with a PhD in law. Also, she was the first European woman ever admitted in a bar association. She was the founder of the Society of Romanian Young Ladies, one of the first feminist associations we had in Romania, and also a member in several other international feminist associations. She was born in Bucharest in a very well-positioned family. Both her parents were animated by the idea of preserving and promoting the Romanian values and Romanian identity. And that's why Sarmiza was named after a Dacian fortress, which is called Sarmisegetusa, a 2,000 years old fortress. So that's why I said it's not a common name. Yes? We can go to the next. Thank you. Miza, as she was called by her friends and family in childhood, was a tomboy, was a very boyish girl. She liked to play rough and spend time outside. But she also had a very deep passion for art and for music. She also took piano lessons, and later on she will offer piano concerts. In 1884, at the age of 17, she enlists with no difficulty at the Faculty of Letters of University of Paris, the same university that Marie Curie went to. But she returns home just after 6 weeks because of a cholera epidemic. While at home, her father convinces her to prepare for a career in law. And she goes back to Paris, accompanied by her mother, who will stay she will stay with her throughout all her study years. And she files for being accepted at the Faculty of Law. At that time, in Europe, no other women was ever accepted to the Faculty of Law. So France was also reluctant in accepting women. Thank you. In December, she takes the acceptance exam at the Faculty of Law. The deliberations take 2 weeks. it's a premiere for the university because normally they would have taken 1 day or 2 days. They hesitated to welcome her. And while waiting for the answer on the hallways for days in a row, Sarmiza's mother meets Monsieur Pichard, which is the secretary of the Faculty of Law, and says to him, I come from a distant foreign country, but they don't argue there the women's right to get an education. How is it possible, sir, that in a country in which even above the prison gates lays written liberty, equality, fraternity, liberté, égalité, fraternité, you are preserving a woman to get educated? She finally gets admitted, maybe because of her strong-willed mother too. But the struggle is not over because she gets thrown out of the classroom by some of her professors. She is prevented to enter the building even after her acceptance. So she has a difficult time, especially in her first year of study. But after her first exam, things changed because she manages to impress her teachers, and she gets her professors' admiration, which from that moment on admire her and welcome her among their professionals. After completing her first year of studies, Colmet de Santerre, which is a famous civil law professor in Sorbonne, addressed the student body, mentioning Sarmiza's relentlessness beyond all praise and exemplary conduct, and also thanking the male students for welcoming her as a sister. She takes her degree in juridical science in 1887, but the road is still not over. She will go on with her studies in, please, Julia, thank you. On the 12th of June, 1890, at the age of 23, she becomes the first woman with a doctorate in law. She is already famous by that time. Newspapers all around the world covered her story. And also she is, it's the first PhD thesis that promotes equality of women and men. Her thesis is called About the Legal Condition of the Mother in Romanian and French Law, making a comparison of how the mother is seen by the law and promoting the equal rights of mother and father above their children, which was not at the time. Thank you. We can see also pictures. There was a graphic exposure of thank you, of her sustaining her PhD thesis. And further on, returning in Romania, she applies for the license in the Bar Association. She gets accepted. No one in Europe managed that before her. But she never pleaded in court because she never really had clients that trust her that much to plead in court. But she paid all her fees regularly. She offered juridical counseling, and also even for pro bono sometimes for people that were poor. Further on, she starts feminist career and is very socially involved in the community. She establishes the Society of Romanian Young Women Ladies. As I already said, it's one of the first female associations in Romania promoting the women and their right to education, and also the cultural unity of Romanian people. At that time, Romania was still not unified, didn't have all the territories united as now. Also, she meets the queen and she befriends the queen at that time. She offers the queen Mary of Romania Romanian lessons. Mary of Romania was of English origin. She didn't speak Romanian when she became in Romania. She was an active militant for the preservation of Romanian heritage and cultural traditions. So she followed her family's interests. She was also involved in establishing dorms and school canteens for law students, but also in other projects involving children's education. She offered private scholarships from very good students that wanted to stay abroad and couldn't afford it. She also establishes a school in a rural area that still exists and wears the name of her father. And she was president of the Federation of University Women, women that had a university degree. Was invited to take part in many feminist societies all over the world. She was invited at conferences and congress to speak about women's rights and the women's right to education. So she had a really wide recognition. And she dies in 1935, but leaving an important legacy. Even though her career as a lawyer never bloomed, she made a career of being socially involved and developed the community, and became a role model for women aspiring to a higher education. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Impressive, impressive. I was listening to you and thinking that now all of us take the university career, the higher education for granted.
Yes.
But it's incredible that 100 years ago, 120, 130, someone was the first. There was a woman who was the first to have a PhD degree, for example, in Europe. And it is incredible to have a PhD degree at the age of 23. Even now, it is not very usual. And at that time, you really should be an extraordinary person, have extraordinary personality to do all of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Another woman with important merits, I believe, Sofia Ionescu Ogrezianu. She was the first female neurosurgeon in the world, but never knew it until after 2005. She was also an innovator of brain surgery techniques that become important knowledge in the field of surgery, neurosurgery. She was born in Fălticeni, Suceava, that is the eastern part of Romania, in the Ogrezianu family. She was named Ogrezianu when being born. She was named Sophia, which means wisdom in Greek. And she also had a second name, a middle name, Gheorghina, which is a synonym for the flower called dahlia. We have here in the image the flower. Both her name described her personality characteristics, because she was a wise person, she took wise decisions, but she also was a very modest person and a delicate person inside. Okay, we can go on. When she's 13 years old, she goes through a very heavy period in her life, because she goes with her sister to spend a holiday, a regular holiday with her maternal grandparents. And because of a very early morning train they need to catch, their father is caringly waking them up with a song and offers them a rose when they leave. And that is going to be the last memory of, I got emotionally, yes, of her father. She never sees her father again, because meanwhile, while they are away on holiday, he dies. From that moment on, she gets closer to the family of her schoolmate and friend, Aurelia Dumitriu, whose father, Vasile Dumitriu, was a physician, and she describes him as being a kind person and a caring doctor. he becomes a role model for her, and I think he replaces the void left there by the death of her own father. So this is what sparks her interest for medicine school. She is animated by her deep mercy for people suffering and by her conviction that she can help them. So she applies for human medicine faculty in Bucharest. She has a little bit difficulty in attending the school because her tutelary commission, she has a commission of relatives and a lawyer because she didn't have a father anymore, and it was a law at that time that mothers couldn't decide over the destiny of their children alone. Opposes, but she and her mother managed to prevail, and she is finally going to medical school. She's a very committed student, and she worked almost all her summer breaks. She worked in hospitals. She made internships, and she made practice in hospitals, taking care of the wounded soldier. We were in wartime, so she begins her studies in 1939, just when the Second World War starts, and she will finish them in 45, just before the war's end. Yes. In November 43, when she is still a student, she starts an internship at the neurosurgery service of the hospital number 9 in Bucharest, entering an elite team of neurosurgeons, of male neurosurgeons, coordinated by Professor Dimitrie Bagdasar, which is considered to be the founder of Romanian neurosurgery. So he was really famous at the time. In 1944, during it was war, as I said, a child with head wounds from a bombing incident is brought to the hospital. Professor Bagdasar had a hand injury and couldn't perform the surgery, so he invites other members of the staff to get involved and operate the kid. Otherwise, he will die. The other members of the team are also reluctant to start the surgery. Some of them said they are too scared, they cannot perform it, they are really emotional about it. So Sophia says, I will do it, I will be the one operating. And that surgery will change her life, because the surgery is a success. She proves her skills during that surgery, and the Professor Bagdasar invites her to get specialized in neurosurgery after she finishes her studies. She will finish only in 45, so she was still a student when she first operated the child. She gets married later on after she finishes her studies, but she is very involved in her career. She works relentlessly. She wakes up every morning at 5 o'clock, and she takes all the exams to reach the highest distinction in medical field. She develops her own surgical techniques that will be recognized later as breakthrough knowledge in the field. Authors 120 scientific articles, but mainly published first in Romanian journals and then republished in international journals later on. And she only receives wide recognition after her retirement. So after 47 years of being a surgeon, nobody knows that she was so good except the people in her hospital, of course. And after her retirement, in 1997, she becomes an honorary member of the Romanian Academy of Medical Sciences. So Romania finally acknowledges her contribution. And later on, in 2005, at the International Congress of Female Neurosurgeons, she received credit for being the first female neurosurgeon in the world, and for the innovative surgery procedures she helped develop during the years. She dies in 2008, and also she is a woman that, in my opinion, opened the gates for women choosing male-ish careers. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Again, if our students have any questions to you, or if they have some, if they need some additional information about these two women, they will send emails to us. The email of Open Europe can be seen here, info@openeurope.es. And we will forward these questions to you. What was also striking about the second women you described, that was even 80 years ago, it was 1939, 1940, her mother were not able to make decision about future career or future life of her daughter. That is what was in society, and we are talking about 80 years. Widow or divorced women cannot or were not able to make decision about what a child can do, where a child can live. And that is what now, I mean, from our present situation, it is difficult to understand. Yes. But it was, and that's why I think that we have to appreciate all the actions of those women who made all these steps to help us to stay as we are right now. Thank you very much, Joanna. Yeah, would you like to add anything?
I wanted just to point out that both the women I presented had very strong-willed women standing beside her, their mothers. In both cases, their mothers pledged for their support and worked hard to manage to support their daughters, and I think it's also very important to notice that.
That is very important point. In any case, we can be strong. We can know what we want, but in any case, it's better to have someone who can support you. Your mother, your father, your parents, your husband, whomever. I mean, let's support women around us.